Hey guys, welcome back to the Derick podcast. Back in the studio again today. We've got episode 127 with a good friend of mine and slightly real estate coach, one of them. So we got Teisha Hinton. How's it going?
Good.
Good. And then your maiden name is Irvine, which is how I met you the first time.
Yeah.
So I went to school with your brother, Trevor. He was my age. And so people that know me and went to school with me, that's how this all ties in. And the real estate school that I'm a part of and you're a part of, you're a coach in now.
Yeah.
And so I think that'll be kind of a lot of the focus that we'll do. But I also want like the backstory on doTERRA and how that kind of catapulted you into everything. And you're young enough, I can probably ask this. How old are you?
I'm 33.
33 and semi-retired, so. Super jealous. Like I was just telling Ty, I was like, when she told me she was retired, I was like slightly pissed off, but like I was like, dude, good for you, man, because like that ain't easy, right? So I know there's a lot of work that goes into that.
Yeah, gotta hustle, but it's worth it.
Yeah. So we were just on a real estate call with the school that you led, and we've talked about having you on a few times. I just haven't sat down to line it all up. And after that, I was like, I really need to get her on. And so it's funny because we were just talking about this. Maybe we start here. Like there's a little bit of imposter syndrome, and we both have it in different situations, right?
Yeah.
But maybe talk about that a little bit, because even on the call, you were talking about how many investors fail and what's that feeling look like. And then when you're the person in that, you think like, I don't know anything. I shouldn't be doing this. But at the same time, like you've put in the time to get to that point and to be able to talk on those points.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that?
I mean, as far as like imposter syndrome goes, I feel like it's like good to like feel that, it means you're like stepping into something bigger. But I just feel like as like an investor, I'm like, I don't know as much as like this guy over here, this person right here. Like, who am I to speak on investing, But like, there's always like so much value that anyone can add. Even like a new investor, like there's something that they have to say that like can impact my life, So yeah, like it's just that feeling of not feeling like you know enough. And that's like a constant in my life, which is good. I mean, it like always pushes me to like learn more and grow more. And so, yeah.
Well, and that's it. You're going in the right direction, I think, if you're having some of those thoughts. The thing that people, I think, need to understand, and this, it's just when you're in the moment, you feel that way. Like, I don't know what you know. So, like, you might know something about hunting or guns that I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I probably know more than you, but you might know something different than me.
Yeah.
And so that's the difference on it is we were actually talking about one of my short-term rentals, and I was just so tunnel focused on that. Maybe we'll jump into that a little later, but I was so tunnel focused on this one problem I was trying to solve, and it was a large money problem to me. And then I was just mentioning it, just kind of maybe not complaining, but just kind of talking about the issue. And I had someone in my family say, well, why don't you just do this? And it was so obvious to them. And it was something I'd never even thought of. So maybe we'll jump into that in a little bit, since I kind of just casually brought it up already.
I like it.
But yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about real estate for sure. So if investing in real estate is something you're interested in, obviously the real estate investing school is kind of our go-to. We're both a part of it. And it gives a lot of different people investing in different areas for different reasons. So it's that same thing. It's just a lot of different input and different experiences. So maybe let's start with doTERRA though, because was that kind of your catapult, would you say, to everything financial?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was raised to like think that I needed to go to school and like I was going to become a nurse, and that's great for people who want to do that. But I just like always kind of like when I was working in the hospital, on that path, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so draining. I hate this.
Pull that mic closer to you.
Okay. Thanks. This is so draining. I hate this. And I wasn't enjoying myself. So I knew that I wanted to like work and I wanted to have a family and all of that. So it was really like finding like the sweet spot. So when doTERRA was introduced to me, I like really gravitated towards it because I love the product and I love the idea of like building something, creating a community, something bigger than myself, and also being able to like do it at home and when I want, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, which I feel like is everybody's story. Like everyone who gets into business, they like read that book and they're like, oh, I've had like this poor dad mentality my whole life. And, you know, to like flip it around, I'm going to just change everything. So from then on, like once I read that book, it just opened my eyes and I just really dove into my doTERRA business. I put in like more hours than I care to share. And within a few years, we were completely like financially free. Like we had replaced our income. And it took time. Like most people feel like it should be an overnight success, whether that's in a network marketing company or whether that's in real estate. I feel like it's like, you know, that thought that it's not happening fast enough.
Right.
And so I really put in my time though. And I traveled all over and made a ton of sacrifices. And that really like, you know, brought us to a place where we had extra income and we were like, okay, let's start doing the real estate stuff, you know? And we weren't even like intentionally like thinking like, let's invest in real estate. We're like, okay, we've outgrown this house. Let's move into another one and let's just keep the house that we have. So that was kind of like our path. We just kept like moving up. And
so did you know house hacking was a thing and you were actually doing it?
I had no idea that house hacking was a thing. Yeah, I was like an OG Airbnb-er. Like one of our properties, I'm like, hey, I heard about this thing called Airbnb. No one had heard of it that I knew. And I like put it on there, rented a room out of our house. I'm like, I have a child, but I'm renting a room out. It's fine. My parents were like, are you crazy? They still think I'm crazy. But anyway, so yeah, that really just like pushed me to like think outside the box and like, how else can I make money? There's like so much money in the world and why can't it go to me? So yeah. Anyway,
maybe like I know what doTERRA is, you know what it is, maybe overview what it is and what the structure is behind it and what you, maybe some key things on it of what made you successful or why you think the product is successful.
Yeah, so product is essential oils, and the structure behind it, I mean, essential oils and wellness products, you know, but the structure behind it is really like building a team, finding people who want to just like use the product. There's like people who, you know, want to share it and like maybe get like their oils for free, and then people who want to build the business with it. And so when you find people who want to build the business, then you like, you know, jump in with them. They become your business partner essentially. And like, it's like you're committed to helping them grow because it also helps you. And it's so awesome to like see these people like grow and change their lives. So for me, I feel like why I was successful with it is because I knew that there was going to be sacrifice. I knew that I wasn't going to be making money for like the first year or more. So I was, you know, and nobody supported me in that. Like
what was that like?
Kevin didn't. He was like, "What are we doing? Why?" You know, it was hard. But I also am kind of that person who I'm like, "Oh, you don't think I can do this? Well, watch me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it." So, I mean, I feel like it fueled the fire and really helped me like push forward and make it happen. And I'm kind of glad for the naysayers, you know.
Where do you think that comes from for you? So I talk about that too. It's like the negative energy that you kind of use to push yourself.
Yeah.
Like I had 3 older brothers that told me I was a puss all the time, right? And so like I always had like that drove me using that negative energy. Do you have an experience or story?
I have older brothers as well, you know. I'm like the only girl. I'm the youngest. And I feel like it's like maybe the youngest. There. It's like
only girl and youngest might be it.
Yeah, that's it. That's my story. Yeah, I just feel like, you know, I feel like there's like comparison to your older siblings always. And so like that always made me want to like be better, you know. I'm like, oh, well, I can be just as good as them. But for most of my life, I wasn't. Like my brothers are athletic. They have like other talents. I've always felt like I had nothing to give. I'm like, man, why do I suck? So now that I'm like older, I'm like, okay, there's like more than just being good at basketball.
Right.
I can like go make money and like, I don't know.
That's funny.
be
So
a baller in a different way.
yeah, so I can, that's the focus on them, and I was never great at
Yeah.
that, but I also have these other talents that no one ever pushed on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. I kind of feel the similar way. Like I was always compared to my brothers. My dad coached everything that we were all in, so I always played up because he was already coaching 2 teams.
Yeah.
He didn't want to coach 4.
Totally.
So I was always playing up on everything. I was always compared to everyone 2 years older than me. And it messed with me because I was like, I'm not as good as these guys.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you're not supposed to be. They're 9 and you're 7.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. When you're 9, you'll be probably better than they were. When
Right.
you were 9.
But that was
Yeah.
never the mentality I was
Right.
told, you know, like now it's obvious. Like if you
Yeah.
want to get better, you go practice and play against people that are better than you.
Totally.
Right. It's like a common thing. No one ever told me that.
Yeah.
I just always thought, man, I'm just not as good as these guys.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel the same way. It's funny. We're similar in a lot of ways with all of this. So doTERRA got you financially free. Is there some struggles in that maybe we can touch on? Having people not support you. So for me, I talk about this a lot. Like my mom was always in my corner. Like she was, no matter what, how crazy, and still to this day, I mean, she works with me now. And so like to this day, I've always had my mom telling me like, you could do it. Like why not you? If someone else can, why not you? Like I always had her pushing me and supporting me. Like no point in my life did I ever think that my mom didn't believe in me. And so when I have people on or talk to people that they're like, yeah, they think I was crazy, or even your husband's like, what are we doing? Like that's foreign to me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So if there's anything there, and if there's not, we can move on, but anything there struggle wise you want to touch on?
Yeah.
Without trashing your husband.
No, he's great. He's like really, like I talk about risk tolerance all the time and like investing, you know, when I'm coaching, and his risk tolerance is like way down here and mine is like up here, you know, so we kind of have to meet in the middle. So it's always me being like, come on, you know?
Yeah.
So I just feel like I'm always like working him up a little bit outside of his comfort zone. So I mean, it all came back to that. Like his risk tolerance was like, this is crazy. Like, why are we investing in this? Like, you know.
Like, did you think at 30, what did you say, 33? Did you think at 33 you guys were going to be in the financial situation you're in when you were 20 starting this whole thing?
Yeah.
I mean, that was your goal. You were like, okay, I'm going to knock this out of the park.
I totally believed that I could make it happen.
That's awesome.
You know, like what your mom kind of said to you, like, if like somebody else can do it, why not you? And like that was kind of, I'm like, I look at some of these people, I'm like, well, if they can do it,
yeah,
I can do it, you know? Why not?
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm my cheerleader. It's really great.
That's awesome, because it takes a lot of people a lot of failure to get to that point.
Yeah.
And so maybe you tackled a lot of that when you were a kid, but
tackled so much failure.
Yeah. Well, and that breaks people.
Yeah.
But I mean, to be where you're at your age, you had to have, I mean, there's all those hurdles that you would have had to overcome. Sounds like you did it at a younger age than most people. And you didn't let it break you.
I've failed a lot in my 20s, and even now I feel like I'm failing at stuff, you know? So failure is just part of the journey. And I just, I don't know.
When did you accept that, though? Is there a moment?
Yeah, I don't know. Have I accepted it? Yeah, no. I mean, I feel like failure is just like learning, you know? It's just a really great way to learn and grow and be like, oh, I'm not doing that again, or I'm going to do it this way instead next time, you know? So
you don't fail, you learn.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know, like, why it doesn't bother me to fail. Maybe I'm just really used to it, really, since a young age.
You're like, I'm basically a failure at a young age.
Yeah. So anyway.
Look at all the blessings you get now from it, though.
There you go.
All right, so move down the road a little bit. So when you started getting into new houses and you were house hacking and you didn't even know it.
Right.
Or maybe it was before house hacking was a thing.
Maybe.
You were just doing it.
I was just doing it.
Yeah.
Maybe I coined the term.
Well, you're a trendsetter. We've already figured that out. So she's given me advice on one of our rentals, and I thought, like, man, I've never thought of that. And she's like, you haven't heard of that? And we're like, we're pretty sure you just made that up. and I want to talk about that too, because I think it's a great thing for short-term rentals that we could jump into, just a different idea. But I'm trying to follow the story here, right? So after doTERRA, had you already had a house or two, or where were you at on that?
Yeah. So we bought our first house before I started doTERRA.
Okay.
And that was why it was so crazy for like Kevin when I started, is because we were financially very strapped, like put all of our eggs into one basket. and we had to like remodel the house and all of this stuff. So it was like very stressful for a little while, you know. And anyway, so that was our first house, and then we went to move to Mexico actually. A couple years into our doTERRA business, I was like, hey, Mexico's opening for the country, like let's go build doTERRA down there. You speak Spanish, you know, he served a 2-year mission down there for the church, and I'm like, let's go and like meet your contacts. And so we went down there. We were going to stay for a year, and then after 3 months we were like coming home for the holidays. I'm like, let's just go home permanently. But we had rented our house out for a year. So we came back and we like went on a cruise, and then we were, you know, just staying at his parents for like a couple months while we searched for a property. We finally found one and we bought it, and we did a private money lender for that. And because it was in a condo and it was like non-warrantable, you couldn't get a loan on that property. So we had to get creative. Before I even knew what creative financing was, we just were hustling, I guess. And we bought that, we had a baby, and we were pregnant with our second. And I'm like, we can't stay in this 2-bedroom condo. So we built a house, and yeah, we built that. And that's the one that we were house hacking, that we Airbnb'd out a room, and it was awesome. We loved it. But then we moved to California. So like doTERRA was after I had already bought a house, you know, but it's what made me buy more houses, because I feel like if I didn't start doTERRA, then I would have just like bought that house that we had bought and lived there for like 20 years.
Yeah.
Because that's what
That's the American dream.
That's what people do. Yeah.
I love listening to you talk, because it's like it's obvious that you're into real estate investing, because you say things like property instead of house.
No.
And you say that like non-warranted. Like I didn't know what that meant 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And so it's when you go through stuff, I'm like, okay, she's obviously doing this. You can kind of start picking things up that you talk about. So what benefits did you guys get from getting into real estate? What pushback did you have? I mean, you're someone that just figures it out. And so it almost makes it sound easy, because you're just like, well, we just got creative financing and we just got it. But like, so go through a little bit, maybe a struggle or two of being able to do that, or maybe building the house.
Okay.
You know,
yeah.
So this isn't all just sunshine and rainbows, guys. She's worked hard.
I have worked hard. So I'll actually share, when we were building the house, we didn't have the money for it. Like right up front, we're like, you know, I was having some complications with my pregnancy, and a lot of money was actually going toward that, because when you are building a business, you don't have like real insurance, you know,
Right.
like the kind that pays for things. So we were like paying for tons of stuff out of pocket. And then we're like building this house. We had already committed, and yeah, I needed a certain amount of money by like close day. And so I was really struggling. I'm like talking to Kevin. I'm like, dude, what do I do? Should I like start teaching Chinese kids like English, you know, like from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. like every morning? And he's like, I don't know, whatever you want to do, you know? And so I was like really like trying to find a way to like get that money. And I didn't want to do like a private money lender again, or hard money or anything like that. I wanted to like make the money. So with doTERRA, I pushed really hard. I like created this whole system of what we called studies for doTERRA, and I would like send out these samples. We'd get like testimonials. We just did this like huge push. I created a new strategy, and it like brought in 1 month $30,000, and I was like, oh
Wow.
my gosh, we're good. We have our down payment. Like that's all it took, you know. Like, but it was like, I have pictures of me in my like, you know, huge pregnant belly, filling these like little sample vials, sitting on the ground. Like my body hurt so bad, and like it was like so much hard work, me like on these calls all the time, just like really, really pushing to like hit this goal of making a certain amount of money. And so, yeah, like it was so hard and so exhausting, especially like when you're pregnant and sick and things are hard anyway. So yeah, that was like something that I had to like really, really work for, but we made it happen.
Isn't it interesting how I had the same thing maybe 6 months ago? Like I have multiple businesses that we run every day, and we were getting pretty tight on money. And my initial thought was I should just go get a job at night. And I actually talked to a buddy that owns a business, and I was asking him like, hey, do you guys need any night help? Like, you know me, give me a key. I'll just come and run the whole thing at night.
Yeah.
And he gave me this whole talk of like, dude, you won't show up for your family if you're working all night. You won't show up for your job if you're working at night, all your customers, and lined it all out. And he's like, if working at night is the only time left that you have to do anything, why are you not just working on your own business at night?
Yeah.
And it's like so like no duh type of thing. But at the time, and maybe it's because I was just losing some confidence in myself of like, okay, I need to go lean on someone else.
Yeah.
But he gave me like this whole pep talk. He ended up saying, I was kind of in the same spot. And he's like, well, you usually do these big tent sales with the safe store. So, dude, I'll throw some stuff in. We can get some other businesses to throw some raffles in. Let's do a big raffle. And something we already do. And he was like, let's just do this.
Yeah.
And what do you usually do on those weekend tent sales? And I'm like, well, the minimum we've ever done is $20K. And he's like, then why aren't you doing those 5 times a year? And so he just kind of refocused me.
Totally.
But it was interesting how like I had the tools and it's something we already do. It was nothing new, but I almost needed someone else to push me in that direction to remind me that I have the tools to do it.
Yeah. So that's kind of like with me too. I was talking to a friend and I'm like, I don't know what to do. What do you think? And she also sells doTERRA. We have like no connection. We're not like on the same team at all. We're just friends in doTERRA. And she was like, why don't you just like double down on doTERRA? Like think outside the box and do something. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it.
Yeah.
You know, like sometimes you need somebody like, you know, in your corner, like giving you some new strategies, new ideas, or like even strategies that you already knew. Like you already knew to do those tent sales, but you just needed somebody to like, you know, remind you that you knew how to do that. So anyway, I think there's so much power in like sticking with like what you're doing and what you're good at and like just like 10xing it, you know, instead of like going off somewhere else and like thinking like, oh, this will solve my problem, just like staying in your lane and staying focused. Like, yeah, there's a Babe Ruth quote that I want to say, but I feel like I'm gonna botch it. But you can't beat somebody who quit or who never quits. It's something like that.
Yeah.
But and I just feel like that's so true. Like as long as you just stay consistent and stay disciplined, like you can accomplish anything. But I also feel like there's like when you're talking about how you like kind of lost that belief in yourself and your confidence in yourself and you're like, I'll go work for somebody else. I feel like we get like, you know, goal scar tissue. I talk about this all the time. I'm like, we set these goals and we like, when we don't hit them, like creates a little bit of scar tissue. And when we do that repeatedly, like those failures, like sometimes a little bit of scar tissue builds up and it's a little harder the next time to like move forward.
I love that. I'm writing it down. I'm stealing that from you. Yeah, I think it's also important if you're in this world of entrepreneurship or building a business or real estate or really whatever your niche is, like whatever you're trying to grow in, you've got to have people in your corner that are maybe on the same playing field and a little higher. Because people underneath or people that are on a different playing field just don't get it. Yeah. And so having those conversations like I did with my friend and you did with your friend, if those people aren't in your lives that you can lean on and open up to, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And so if you're always pushing and pushing and pushing and your whole, you know, friend group or family group or whoever that you lean on for support isn't doing any of that and don't understand any of that, it's impossible, I think.
Right. It's that saying like, don't take advice from somebody like you wouldn't want to trade lives with. Like that's kind of like that's like the truth right there, you know, like you want to talk to the people who are accomplishing the things that you want to accomplish or who have already accomplished like, you know, bigger things than you even thought were possible. Like those are the people you want to surround yourself with and like take that advice from. So yeah,
it's been a life-changing thing for me the last few years. I've really tried to focus on that, and that was part of being in the school and different coaching programs. And like I'm in a new one right now. It's called The Program, and like Eric Gubler always talks about it.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it's like a men's only thing, but it's like an entrepreneurship, man, father, husband, like type of support group, really. Cool. And being able to have those guys hold you accountable and be able to move forward, I think it just catapults you. Like I've been in coaching things with Ed Milet and Andy Frisella with the Arte Syndicate, and it's like they just don't seem and I'm not knocking it. Like I've met a lot of great people in there. I
Yeah.
love those guys. I still support them today. I'll buy anything they put out just to support it. It's just like they're almost untouchable. Like even though you're in the same room as them and they're right there talking to you, it's just like it's almost unachievable in my mind. And maybe I'm looking at this the wrong way. If someone else thinks I'm thinking of it wrong, then chime in. But being in this other group called The Program with Nick Alfano and like I said, Eric Gubler has a big role in it in St. George. It's just like becomes achievable, I guess. I don't know. And maybe they're just more personal and it's a smaller group. And so I feel like, you know, these guys are just like me hustling every day and trying to, you know, hit their daily goals. And it's achievable at this point.
Yeah. I feel like my brain went blank.
Good.
That's what I feel like.
So let's lean into kind of the real estate really. And I love doing this because like, I feel like I know you, but even just the little bit of time that we've sat here, I've learned a lot about, and I can see your personality more and who you are. And you're the creative person that just doesn't stop. Like you go and you get it done. Right. So getting your multiple doors in real estate and even coaching people now, what lessons have you learned? And maybe walk through getting a few of those doors and just any advice that you would throw out to someone that wants to look into real estate investing or even just buying a house.
Yeah. As far as like buying a house, I think that there's a lot of naysayers who say like, you know, the market's bad right now or whatever. There's a lot of like fear, I feel like, in real estate. But, you know, like that's something that I've really loved about the real estate investing school is because a lot of people are like, the numbers just don't work and it just is a dumb time to buy properties, whatever the story is, you know, right now. And yet here I am coaching people and like watching other coaches as well, buying all of these properties where the numbers work, you know. It's all about like learning how to get creative. So I had a student who I walked through like buying a property with, and it had a detached garage and like workshop area. And I'm like, let's just like rent that out too, you know? So they were able to cash flow. They're cash flowing like $1,600 a month, and they put in, I want to say it was like 70 grand, you know? So like their cash on cash return is amazing. And so deals are out there. You just have to like think creatively. They also added an extra bedroom to the house, like adding value. But there's a lot of like ways to invest in real estate. There's a lot of, you know, creative solutions when you already own some real estate that maybe is struggling. Like there's a lot of things that you can do if you just like think outside the box. But
are you more in long-term, short-term? Are you spread out? Where are you at?
we have it one short term and then the rest are long.
Is that on purpose?
Yeah, I've done more short term in the past, and it's a lot more like stress for me. It's a little more hands-on. Like I feel like I have to like have service on my phone because I haven't been able to pass the torch to somebody else to like manage it, because that's a me problem. I like to like know what's going on with my properties. So yeah, it's definitely intentional that we don't have a bunch of short term right now. And like we talked about earlier, you know, the short-term market is struggling a little bit. So it's kind of nice to diversify your portfolio so that you're like, if one property is struggling, then you have like a couple others that are, you know, lifting you back up. So
yeah, like don't get too heavy on one side of it, I think.
Yeah.
I came in like right at the back end of that short-term rental boom. And so I got caught up in oh man, this is all, you can't lose. You know, this is all great. Everyone's making money and I can go use it whenever I want. You know, I got caught up in all of that. And like I still am fine with the decision we made and we're moving forward with it. But I think I saw too much gold hanging there and I wanted to jump in, and I'm a 2 feet first guy. Like I probably should research a little more in everything I do because I'm always like, if I don't make the decision now, I never will. So I just jump.
Yeah. But you know, it's good that you're not like overanalyzing, because
and I was like that most of my life.
Get caught in that trap of just like analysis paralysis. Like this has to be perfect. Like what if I'm, you know, like my numbers aren't right? Like you just got to jump in sometimes. So
Yeah, when real estate investing comes up and someone tells me like, well, what if they trash the house? Or what if I'm just like, dude, we're just not on the same level. Like, I don't know. Like, I can't answer your question, but when that comes, I know I can figure it out.
Yeah, you deal with it. You learn how to deal with it when stuff happens. And
it's like, well, what if it's all perfect and I'm cash flowing $1,000 a month?
Then great.
Yeah, if we're just living off of what ifs, like let's throw what ifs out there, right?
Let's throw some positive ones in there.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like it.
And that's the risk tolerance that you were kind of talking about on the call. And I know that it's a topic for you. Like we've already kind of touched on it, but how does that risk tolerance grow? How do you start it? How do you, I mean, is it just jumping in and failing? I
think it's sometimes you have to fail. And like, I mean, I don't feel like failure is like really what we think it is. It's,
right.
I've seen so many investors, like growing up, my parents had like mentioned like, oh, so-and-so, our friends have like bought a property and then somebody trashed it. So they decided not to invest in real estate. And they've had like a couple stories like, you know, similar to that. And so it kind of always planted this like negative seed in my mind of investing, like how terrible it was going to be because, you know, like people are going to ruin my properties and it's going to be a nightmare and I'm going to have renovations and all of this stuff that like seemed so scary. And so that's what I really deem as failure though. Like letting like one bad experience in something like just determine that you're done with it. Like you just got to like try again, you know? So building that risk tolerance is really all about like trying something, and if it doesn't work, trying something else or trying in a little bit of like a different way, even if it's like the same, you know, strategy that you're employing, but like maybe just like a few like little adjustments. And that's like how you grow your risk tolerance, is just getting out and trying and like talking to other people. I think networking is very underutilized in a lot of
with
investors.
The right people.
Yeah, with the right people, exactly. Like just being able to like talk to people and then be like, oh yeah, we had to evict someone too, it's the worst. Or like, oh yeah, I've done 20 evictions, like no big deal at this point, you know. And you're like, oh okay, this isn't really a big deal. So it's just like learning how to realize that it's like what Andrew Devlin said. If you heard that call in the school, he talked about falling in love with the reality of investing instead of just like falling in love with like the idea of it. So the reality is like your house might get flooded, somebody might trash it, you know, like you might have to do some evictions, you might have a few months where nobody rents your short-term rental. Like there's so many things that can go wrong. And so you have to fall in love with like the whole idea of actually investing in property instead of just like thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to like buy one property and I'm going to retire. That one property is going to do it for me. And like, there's never going to be any hiccups. There's always going to be something. And so I think it's like a mindset thing too. Like you have to be willing to accept that stuff's going to go wrong.
Yeah. Growing up and even into my 20s, I was very controlling. And I was controlling because I would take ownership if something went wrong.
Yeah.
And so I had to own all of it. And if I was going to own all of it, I would know I mean, it's not possible to know everything, but in my head, I'd worked out every possible scenario, you know? And I started to realize like, man, I just can't control the world. I can't control everything.
Right. And
so I started letting some of that go. And then I realized I had this really good talent of just figuring it out. And so, and I'd always been that way, but I thought everybody was that way. Like I thought everybody just figured it out. And I started realizing like, no, people quit. And if it's, you know, if it's being an entrepreneur, people are like, well, how do I have a successful business? I'm like, I don't know, dude, because I've had 4 that have failed, and I'm pretty sure someone else could come in and take over my store and run it better than me. So I don't know. But like, I know that we're figuring it out every day.
Yeah.
Installing vault doors, building vault rooms, these things that we're doing. Like my grandpa helped out on our last one, and he's very analytical. Like it works out this way, A, B, and C.
Yeah.
And he's been a builder his whole life, so it's worked for him. But it drives him crazy because he's like, well, what are you going to do here? And I'm like, I don't know. But when we get there, I know we'll figure it out. And so it like drives him nuts.
Yeah.
And my oldest brother, Mike, and I, like, we just thrive on that.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'll focus on this problem. And when I get to that problem, I'll fix that one too.
Right.
But I have the belief I can do it.
Yeah. It's like that spontaneous nature. I feel like those are the people who figure it out. Like, I am a very like spontaneous person. I'm like, oh, the weather's good in Hawaii. Let's go next week, you know? And most people can't live their lives like that.
Yeah.
You know, like people have to have a plan and know exactly what's going to happen and save and like, you know, like, which is good. You shouldn't like go into debt to go to Hawaii. But like, you know, I love being able to just like drop stuff and go. Like, yeah, let's go. Let's go on an adventure. That's fun. So, how did you figure out that like you knew how to figure stuff out? Like how did you come to realize that?
Yeah. I think sports taught me a lot of that. Like I would plan like I played baseball growing up a lot, right? So I'm playing third base and there's a runner on first. And I would have the whole thing, okay, if this ball comes to me, I do A, B, and C. Or if it goes over my head, I got to cover third.
Yeah.
Or if it goes here, I go out for the cutoff. So like I started playing all of that in my head,
Yeah,
which
running all
gave
the
me,
scenarios.
yeah, so it like gave me an advantage because when one of them happened, I could adjust to that.
Totally.
And then growing up, like my brothers and I don't think there's anything that my brothers and I can't do between all of us.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of just given me that confidence, really, that whatever it is, I can figure it out. If it's building a house, if it's doing accounting, if it's, I mean, name it. Like, I feel like we could go do it. Build a race car. I don't know. Like, there's nothing that the four of us couldn't do.
Yeah.
And we have expertise in different areas. That's why. Like, we're by far not the same person.
Yeah.
And we've all had different experiences. So I think going through all of that and just taking pieces of it, like my risk tolerance comes from no matter what's thrown at me, I know I can figure it out.
Yeah, for sure.
Does that make sense? And so like jumping 2 feet in, it's like, yeah, I probably should have researched that a little more. Probably should have known more about Joshua Tree. Right? But I'm figuring it out now.
Yeah.
You know, and we're working it out now. And are there shizzy days? Like, yeah, there's shizzy days. Like, you want me to be transparent? Like, I just had a phone call from out in America that I just ignored, and I'm wondering, okay, what do they want? You know, like, there's all these things out there, but, like, that doesn't freak me out because I know when we get off of this, I'm going to call them back and figure out whatever they need. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that's just an example that happened in real time, but things don't cripple me.
Yeah.
Like, I should take that back. Like, I do have my own mental health struggles, and I've been very open about it on here. And, but even that, like, give me a day and then I'm on it.
Yeah.
You know, like nothing cripples me to the point where I'm shut down for life or I never try that again.
Right.
Or, and that's really what it comes up to is I'll just keep pushing. Like, I just don't know how to stop. I might stop for a day, but overall I'm moving.
It's always good to take a breather and like reassess. I think that's like a skill, actually, being able to stop and be like, okay, what could I do better maybe? Or like, what did I do well? Like, what worked, you know, that I just did? So I think it's good to take a day and like always like, you know, play through it and see like what went well, what didn't, what you're going to do. Like,
see, I'm bad at that. Like my analogy's always been, I'm pushing a brick wall for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
And I have a hard time turning around and being like, shit, man, look how far I pushed this wall.
Yeah.
You know, I just feel like I'm always budging and nothing's given up.
Yeah.
And that part of it's hard for me because I push so much all the time. I almost slip into like this victim mentality of like, shit, man, things are so hard for me.
Yeah.
You know, and this California property is 1, 2, and 3, and the business is this, and it's hard because I'm, especially having multiple small businesses that are moving in different directions. Like, I feel like what a normal person that does a 9 to 5 has 2 or 3 problems in their 9 to 5. I have 2 or 3 problems in 5 different directions.
Totally. As an entrepreneur, that is like a common problem. I feel like that we have, you know, it's like you're spread all over, which is good. You're diversifying. It's the way I like to think of it, at least.
Different incomes.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes like I'm jealous of the 9 to 5ers. I'm like, wouldn't it be like nice if I could just like go clock in, clock out, and then I'm like done with that place. You know, I go home and I'm just like totally done. But like as an entrepreneur, you're kind of always like thinking about all of your stuff and like what like, you know, chess pieces you need to move next and like what's going to be the most beneficial. So it's a challenge. It's a real struggle.
Yeah, I'm just not wired to be a 9 to 5 person. I mean, I've done it. I've been a 9 to 5 person most of my childhood. I mean, I've worked since I was like 15. But I look at it now and I'm like, okay, I clock out at 5 and go home, and I'm not knocking anyone that does this, right?
Yeah.
Like, if that's your jam, dude, like, just make sure you're doing the best thing you can do at that job you do.
Yeah.
But I'm like, what are you doing at 5:30? Like, I would,
Yeah.
I struggled with that. Like,
Yeah.
what do you do? Just go home and like chill, just veg? I don't know. Like,
What would that be like?
yeah, and go to the
chill?
gym, hang out with your
Yeah.
kids. Like, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I've always worked all the time,
Yeah.
and I don't know any different.
Right.
And, you know, like, my wife's had to adjust to that. And like, even when we were dating, it was great because like she was busy too. And so we have our own lives, right? Like, we were just talking before we got on here. She was just in Colorado ice climbing,
Seriously.
like in the middle, like on a Thursday, you know, and we both have our own lives. And I think that's why our marriage works so well. Like, I love being with her. I love hanging out at the house with her and going on vacation with her and doing these things, even though people don't think I do, because I go on like one vacation a year. But I just work all the time, but that's why it works for us.
Yeah.
And I keep thinking I'm putting in the time now, right? That's always been my mindset, like, just hammer out now, so in the future things will be a little easier. And you figured it out a lot earlier before I did, apparently, but that's just jealousy coming out. I don't know if you saw that.
No.
But that's always been the thought for me, is like, just hammer now, hammer now, hammer now. And I don't know, maybe it's dumb. Like, ask me in 20 years when William's 23, and we can have a conversation about if it worked or not.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right way to do it. That's just what I'm doing.
That's life, man. We never know, like, if it's the right way. Like, nobody ever knows until, you know, hindsight. We're like, oh, maybe I should have done it this way. But I think it's good. Just, like, keep pushing forward. And, you know, progress is progress, in my opinion. Like, you just got to keep trying until something works. So,
Well, and then your most important job in life, you're a mom of 3.
yeah.
Are you guys putting anything in place for your kids? Is there any, you know, like, retirement type accounts set out there? Is there, I mean, how old's your oldest?
She's 7. She'll be 8 in a few months.
I mean, is there anything you guys are doing, like, on purpose to kind of teach them any of this? Like, just,
Yeah.
I'll let you kind of take over. I'm just trying
mean,
to spur ideas.
It's hard to, like, know the right way to do it, because I don't want my kids to, like, be handed like a big check one day. Be like, hey, yeah, you're set for life. I mean, we have like some investment accounts for them, but like, I don't really like know the right way, because I want them to like earn it and work hard. And so, yeah, we want to give them opportunities and like be a support to them, but we also don't want to like give them a handout. So, you know, we haven't figured that out yet, honestly.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I haven't either. That's why I asked you.
I wish I knew. I wish I knew. But I think that that's one of the best things that my parents did for me, was like teaching me how to work hard. Like, I got a job when I was 15 as well. I mean, you know, babysitting before that, but like an actual job that I had to like work hard at. And my parents like helped me get the job. Like, it was, you know, they knew somebody and got me set up, and they're like, you know, you go and you like be the best. And like, that was something that stuck with me my whole life. It's like, you got to show up and be the best that you can be in that scenario. And so, like, I feel like that's something that I really want to instill in my kids, is how to work hard and like show up as the best version of them.
Whatever it is, be good at it.
Yeah. Rather than just like, hey, we set you up with this investment, you know, account, and now you have a bunch of money. Like, so yeah, that's something that we are currently working through still. But
so this is a weird concept, and I asked one of my older brothers about it, and it almost sounds like I'm bashing on my childhood, and I'm not at all. But I was talking to him, and I said, dude, is it weird to think that like the day your kids were born, they have a better life than we ever have? You know what I mean? And maybe that's a huge win. I don't know. And he was like, dude, I've never thought about it like that. It's kind of a weird way to think about it. And he kind of downplayed me, but I was like, I don't mean any disrespect to like my parents or anyone. And maybe that's like a trophy in our book of like, okay, like financially we're better now than we ever were when we were kids or to today, you know? And, but it's the same thing with you. It's like, you guys have to have different lessons and a different way of raising kids than you guys were raised, because of the advantages that those kids will have.
I know we constantly talk about like, because my husband and I are both home like all the time. We're like, are we messing up our kids? Like, I think we're making their life too easy, because like I would be home alone sometimes and be like, just figuring it out,
Right.
being a little scared to be home alone.
When you were a
yeah,
kid.
when I was
Yeah.
a kid. And so, yeah, like it is funny to think about like, but I think each generation, that's like their goal is to like give
Sure.
their kids more than they had. Like that's like a normal thing, but yeah, it's pretty wild to like think about.
So I have this concept of like you have to put intentional roadblocks in their way. Like it's jacked up to say, but
Yeah.
like I'm trying, and we're working through this too. And don't get me wrong, like we're not wealthy by any means. Like we have a lot of investments that are draining us all the time, right? I mean, we're almost broke by choice. Like we're broke because we're trying to push forward.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
if I quit trying to build businesses and invest in stuff, then like Amanda and our paychecks would just be fine,
Yeah.
right? But I'm always putting it out there trying to get things pushed forward. And I just think like we just have William, right? He's 3. And I think he like even just our house, like he doesn't even, we went to one of our friends' houses. And again, this is kind of to tell the state of the story. We went to one of our friends' houses and neighborhoods, well, I won't say that, friend's house. And he was like, Dad, so-and-so has a small house. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, all of these houses are really small. And I'm just like, yeah, dude. Some people have bigger houses than others. And,
Yeah.
and then we would drive past my brother's house, who's like 3 houses down from me. And he's like, Adam's house is nicer than ours. It's bigger than ours. He has a pool, and I'm like, yeah, he does. So it's like, but he's already noticing it at 3
Yeah.
that he doesn't understand that there are advantages to him,
Right.
but he's already noticing that like he lives. Am I
Yeah.
verbalizing this right? Like
Totally.
he lives different than someone else might.
Right.
And it's so I almost feel like we have to put intentional handicaps out there for them to have some of the learning experiences that are essential.
Yeah.
And are your kids go to public school?
Currently, yeah.
Currently, yeah. So I don't know what we're going to do. If I had to make the decision today, I'd probably homeschool my kid.
Yeah, we have homeschooled. So
Yeah.
this is like we're a year and a half into public school, and we're probably going to pull in homeschool next year.
Really?
So, yeah.
And so I've like, I don't know if that's a good thing or not. So maybe you can speak on it a little bit. Cause I think like for William to be around us even more, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I like the idea of it. Again, it's a control thing. Now I can control his environment. Now I
Yeah.
can control what he's learning. Now I can, and I think to a certain level, a parent should control the environment their kids are in
Yeah.
to a certain point in a
Right.
healthy way.
Right. To keep them safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I want you to be safe, but I think there are things in life they're just going to have to cross whether
Mm-hmm.
you want them to or not. So there needs to be some type of healthy balance between
Yeah.
it. But I am curious where you've homeschooled public school and then you're thinking about going back to homeschool. Why? Is there, what's your thought on all that? Was it a good experience homeschooling? Was it?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, every child is different. Some kids like it more than others, but for us, it really revolves around being free. Like, we've taken so much of our life to like build this financial freedom, and now I feel like trapped by school. I'm like, I don't like this. Like last year, our oldest, she's in like a Spanish immersion program, and she missed 31 days of school that year, which to me, no big deal.
Yeah, who
Whatever.
cares?
She's in first
You
grade.
probably went to Mexico anyway.
Well, yeah. Her dad speaks Spanish. What's the big deal? So, like, I wasn't too concerned about it until the school called us and they were like, she can't miss any more days or she's going to get dropped from the program. And I'm like, what?
Isn't that wild?
This is like a prison sentence,
It is.
So this year we've been like way more intentional about like making sure she's at school all the time, and it's just not as fun. I'm like, this isn't as fun. I don't enjoy it. And I also feel like, when you're talking about like the influences maybe that are around her at school, I feel like it can be rough. Like, I don't really feel like children are emotionally capable to process like kids being mean to them at such a young age. Like, and it happens. Kids are mean. And so like, it's hard to be like, navigating that with them when you're not there, you don't know exactly what happened. It's hard. I'm like, I just don't love it. And I feel like there's a lot of pressure within schools for your kids to like perform at a certain level, and every kid is just different. So
Well, they're like, they missed 31 days because we were out on vacation.
yeah,
Like, it's not like,
sorry,
Yeah.
we're living our lives.
isn't that wild? That is, I mean, when you really think about that,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, we were spending family time on vacations for
Yeah.
30 days and you guys have a problem with that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not like they're abused and I'm holding them
Seriously.
from school. You know
They're
what I mean?
not like, yeah, locked in their room. We're having fun.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
it's been a thought for me, and that's kind of where my thing comes from is like how cool it, like they're in, I don't know, geography, learning about whatever,
yeah.
or they're in U.S. history, and you're like, well, I could actually take him to the White
Totally.
House
That's how I
instead
feel.
of
I'm
learning
like,
about it.
let's go get some like hands-on experience with this, or like for math, you know, like I'm going to teach you about fractions by like baking at home with you.
Yeah.
Like we're going to like triple this recipe.
Well, like what you guys know about real estate investing and taxes, like
you
that
know,
they'll never get touched on any of that in school.
yeah. I mean, and that's the thing, like when I think about like my education, because I also went to college, you know, after graduating high school, and I feel like I didn't learn any of the stuff that I actually use right now. Like the basics of math, yes, but like other than that, and reading. you
Yeah.
know. But like those are like the base like principles that you're going to teach any kid, but like the stuff that has really moved my life forward, I didn't learn in school. So
Right.
I feel like, you know, life experience is probably better than a classroom.
Well, and that's a huge thing that you and your husband have achieved is you have the ability to homeschool your kids.
Yeah.
Like when COVID was going on and everyone's like, oh, they shut schools down. Now one parent has to stay home. And
yeah.
and I'm like, no, there's people that are actually positioning themselves to be at home with the kids. Like this is something that we should be doing. This
Yeah.
is, in my opinion, I think public school is for trying to not be a horrible person when I say this. Like, I think you should position yourself to spend time with your kids,
Right.
to have your kids home and you educating them.
Yeah.
If you're required to have both parents working to live, well, I don't know, maybe back off on your lifestyle. I don't know. Maybe I'm not the person to speak on this, but I just think like you should be putting yourself in the position to control that environment that your kids are in.
Yeah.
And that was always something that people would say, well, both my mom and dad work, or me and my wife both work. Well, then if it's not important to you to control that and to have your kids in school, great, man. Like if that's your thing, if you want your kids to go, I'm sure there's some benefits of public school.
Oh yeah, there for sure are. I mean, and like I said, not every kid loves homeschool. So like
Yeah.
our oldest, she's not a huge fan, and she likes to really push back. Like anytime we try to teach her, she like doesn't handle it as well. But like a stranger tries to teach her and she's like, yes, I believe you. You know? We're like, what did we do wrong? But yeah, so like not every kid is cut out for homeschool, and even like parents, like you
Sure.
know, personalities sometimes just don't like match up. So I can see like there's a place, and some kids just really like public school. Like it can be fun, like
The
with
social
the
aspect
activities and
and-
the social aspect. Yeah, so there's definitely benefits on both sides, but
Yeah, I've had this conversation a lot.
yeah.
And so I've seen a lot of different angles of it. And I love
Totally.
having the conversation because I'm like, well, what are you seeing that I don't understand yet?
Mhm.
And you know, the biggest one that hit me, because in COVID, I was like, they better be careful because we're just going to shut public school down. Like we're all figuring it out. And these
Seriously.
kids like aren't out murdering everyone. So like there's what's the benefit or the fallback of
Yeah.
this? And I had a friend that was a teacher. He's not now. He was a teacher. He said, dude, you got to understand, like school's the only place that some of these kids eat.
Yep.
And school's the only place that some of these kids feel loved. And, you know, and these different sides of it I never thought of.
Yeah.
And so that's why I bring up the conversation, because I'm trying to build the idea of it.
Yeah.
And I was talking to another lady. I'm trying to get her on. I lost her number. Like I delivered a safe to her, and then I saved her number, and I can't remember her name, so I can't find the number again. Anyway, I was talking to her, and she's homeschooled her kids from day one, and they race, like I think mountain bikes and dirt
cool.
bikes, and they're like Olympic.
Like athletes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think one of them's in the Olympics.
Cool.
And so I was talking to her, and she's like, no, there's groups out, because I thought the social thing was my negative part.
Oh,
and
yeah.
she's like, oh yeah, there's tons of groups out there to
Tons
go
of
and do all
homeschool,
that.
like co-ops and pods and you know, all of the social things definitely are covered in the
it's still
homeschool
there.
space. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was my thing. And I'm like, I don't know, when we were in school, it's like if you were homeschooled, you were weird.
Totally.
Like that was the way I looked at it.
Yeah.
And like Eric Gubler and I talked about this because he was homeschooled. And so I was
he's
like,
not weird.
He's one of the
he's really great.
I like him more than a lot of people.
Totally.
But so I'm like, maybe that stigma isn't there anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just homeschooling thing's an interesting thing because I don't think public school can just go away.
Right.
Like there's still a use for it for sure.
Yeah, there's a need.
And I think the majority of families wouldn't have the ability to homeschool their kids.
Yeah.
Whether that's the knowledge to do it or the time or money or whatever.
Or the patience.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess you're right. The days I can drop Will off at daycare, I'm kind of like, yeah.
Sigh of relief.
Right.
Yeah.
And so with all that, I want to say I was always the guy that thought I don't want someone else to raise my kid. I always had that mentality.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather be me, my wife, or my mom or mother-in-law type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but William at daycare, like I think it's opened him up. And he's not the little shy kid. He's not the kid that when you walk in, he goes and like huddles behind mom and dad.
Yeah.
And so there has been in daycare, I think, a lot of benefits.
Mm-hmm.
I also think we have the best daycare, at least in the area. And so I think that helps. Like there's a place we can trust people, right? It's not like the budget one. So, you know what I mean? It's not like the one that's free or the budget one.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's just a conversation. I'm not sure that I lean either way. If I had to make the decision today, I'd probably homeschool him.
Yeah.
But maybe after the first year, we would adjust.
It's always good to pivot a little.
Yeah. The last thing I want to talk about is this idea you just brought up to me before we started. So we have a house in Joshua Tree. A lot of people know. I've talked a lot about it. It's right outside Joshua Tree. It's like 10 minutes out of the park. And I think it's a great property.
I do too.
It's in so there's like a Yucca Valley, like the town, and we're kind of up on the knoll above the town.
Mm-hmm.
So you still have like Walmart and all the fast food places and everything down the street. But we're on a couple acres that like it really open up. You could walk around the whole property, right? Like it's a big property. And we've struggled. And the whole market has struggled, but we've definitely struggled with it. And I was just talking to you about it, and being a park, this is a perfect idea. Having the park right there. You'd brought up you called it influencer marketing, and it's something that you clearly made up, but you acted like it was a real thing.
It right now.
So go talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
You had an experience with someone that you know.
Yeah.
Maybe just talk through that and kind of the idea of it, and then. I think it's a great idea. I think people that are struggling in the short-term market should jump on this.
Yeah, for sure. So we have somebody who we're close to who their short-term rental has really been struggling here in southern Utah, and they're just bleeding money every month. And so I, had kind of mentioned this to her before, and she was like, yeah, maybe for like the right person. So my husband is like really into mountain biking, and he follows this YouTuber, and this YouTuber like said, hey, I'm coming to southern Utah for this like Matt's off-road thing. Have you heard of that? Yeah. So he's like, I'm coming for this challenge. And so my husband reached out to him and sent him a message and was like, hey, do you want to stay in this place for free? And like, we'll just have you give it some shout outs essentially, and they were like, yeah, we are interested. So like we hopped on the phone with them. We outlined like, okay, this is what you guys are getting from this, and then like this is what we want from you. And so they're coming for a week. And so like the property wasn't rented, but like maybe it could have gotten rented, but it wasn't. And so it's saving them a few $1,000s staying in this epic house, and they get to come and stay in it for free. And they're also going to get like a discount code for their like followers or subscribers. So for reference, this guy has like 1.5 million subscribers on YouTube and like, I don't know, 350,000 followers on Instagram. So he has like a good scope of influence. And
yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Like if anyone's tried to build a YouTube channel, that's a lot.
1.5 million. I'm like, I bow down.
I think we're at 2,000. We've been doing this for
amazing.
Like 2 years.
Yeah, and that's amazing. So he and he's just like a super cool, like relatable guy. So they were like, hey, yeah, we're good to do it. So like what they're going to do is post on like their social media, like Instagram or Facebook or whatever, like a few times while they're in town. And then after, he's creating some like videos for his YouTube, and he's doing 2 of them for his like trip to southern Utah, and he's going to like showcase the house in each of those videos and put a link in the bottom, and then just like let his subscribers know that if they contact the property with like, you know, his discount code, that they'll get like a certain percentage off of the property. So where this property went from like, you know, it's really oversaturated right now, I feel like, in the short-term community anyway, but like especially here in southern Utah, there's tons of short-term rentals like going up all over the place, like these communities.
There's communities,
yeah, it's crazy. And so they're just like everywhere. And so that what happens is a lot of people aren't getting their eyes on most of them because of the algorithms of Airbnb. So when you have like a direct link from, you know, an influencer, then people are going to just like go straight to that house. They're going to like message that host, get their discount for like their dates, and you're going to get a lot more bookings this way. So it's just like a new strategy maybe in this space to help get more eyes on your property.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely going to look into it with ours when you brought that up. Because it's a huge hiking, biking, climbing area.
Yeah.
And our property's like set up for that. It's even like an off-road place. I didn't know this when I bought it. It's a huge off-road place out there.
I didn't know that either. So
we just had someone there for like 10 or 12 days straight, and there's a King of the Hammers like just up the road from us.
Okay.
And so so again, it's a big property, but you have to pull through a gate to get into the property. It's all gated. And they were like, hey, can we pull I think that is semi. Can we pull our semi in there? Because they have like 3 or 4 of these huge like rock crawling machines.
Yeah.
And I have a property manager, so she sends me the message and she's like, are you okay with this? And I was like, that's fine with me. I don't know how they're going to get it in there.
Yeah.
Like it's like a fairly small gate. Like I've taken U-Hauls out there and I go slow with the U-Haul. So I don't know how they're going to get it. And they did. They got it in there and they had a good time at the property. They just left us a 5-star review and everything. Cool. So I just thought, dude, I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty good with trailers, but I don't know if I'd feel comfortable putting that in there.
Yeah.
And they did.
That's awesome. And then like another thought that I've been having for like short-term rentals, just to like, you know, stand apart from like the crowd, is partnering with people in like your area who have like rentals or tour guides or whatever. Like, so, you know, here for southern Utah, because I know this market so well, it's like, you know, Mad Moose Rentals, which by the way, you should have Spencer on your podcast.
I didn't know he owned it till like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So like you could partner with them and offer like some kind of like discount code or whatever to your people booking your property, or, you know, like Over the Edge Sports that's out in Hurricane, or Bicycles Unlimited, like whatever, like all of these different people, or an e-bike company, like partnering with them for like the things that people come here to do, and have that be part of like your package that you offer the people who rent your property.
An Oscars discount up by Zion.
Yeah. I always like to do like so in our Carlsbad short-term rental, we have like stuff that's like very specific to Carlsbad. Like it's a Carlsbad owned business and they're only going to get it there. So like, for example, this is a small thing, but like there's a water company there. So I always have bottles of water for our guests when they get there from the Carlsbad water company, or like train tickets for them to ride the coaster, you know, stuff like that. Like small little things that are going to like make you stand apart from like all of the other short-term rentals with their IKEA furniture, you know, like you want to like be the one that's a little bit different, that goes above and beyond for your guests. So.
See, we thought we had that. There's a coffee company in Yucca Valley, so we'd have the coffee, like there's coffee there from their coffee company.
I love it. Yeah.
But I'm like, I started realizing everybody does that. And so I'm like, I gotta find something else.
Yeah.
Like we just did, and people do this too. It's not as common out there, but we just built this like purposed fire pit, and then there's like s'more kits and different things that they have there. So I know other people do that. But in the area, it's not a huge thing. And so I don't know. There's a lot of, I mean, the short term, it's a cycle thing though. I think people need to understand with the short term rentals, it's down right now. Like I have businesses in different categories, everything's down.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of things
Across
that
the
are down
board,
right
it's
now.
kind of, yeah.
The problem is it's down because we just went through such a high cycle. So we're viewing it as being down.
Yeah.
Hey, it's down from the high, but it's actually fairly normal. We're just used to everything being so high.
Yeah.
But I think everything will come back up. Everything's on. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say this yet, but I think that I'm starting to see some indicators of things starting to hit an upswing. We'll see with the election. I think that's a big turning point on what happens this year. So anyway, I appreciate you being on. I think we'll just wrap it up right there. I want to get you out of here before, like we're recording this in the morning, so we got 20 to noon. So
Nice.
get you out of here on time. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Thanks
That was
for
fun.
having me on.
Yeah, my personal real estate session. So now you
Real
can
estate, homeschool, all the things.
now you can tell Alex that I just had a coaching call with you instead of him.
There you go.
All right, guys, that's Teisha Hinton. Teisha, gosh, I know it.
got it.
I just overthink it.
Yeah.
Teisha Hinton, formerly Teisha Irvine, and both Pineview kids. She was a couple grades under me, same age as my wife, and that was fun. I enjoyed it. So that's episode 127. Make sure you go like, share, follow her. Do you do any social media heavy? Not really.
Yeah.
I guess be a part of the real estate investing school. That's how you're going to get her time. So if you have questions on the school, we talk about it a lot on here. Reach out to me. You can reach out to her. Eric Gubler's been on there a few times talking about it. I need to get Brody on. So Kurt's even hosted this before when I've been out of town. So we have a lot of ties to that real estate investing school. If you have questions, reach out to me and we can get you in touch with Kurt. Anyway, guys, that's the episode, and we'll see you next week.